Breaking news in that massive tech outage that we all experienced, causing chaos worldwide. Thousands of flights delayed and canceled, millions of passengers stranded, police and fire stations impacted, while some 911 operations were forced to go offline. All of this stemming from a software issue at a U.S. cybersecurity technology firm. The company insisting this was not a cyber attack, but a glitch, and that the problem has been fixed. CrowdStrike, which is based in Austin, Texas, is widely used by businesses and government agencies that run on Microsoft computers. We have a team of reporters, starting with our ABC stations across the country that are covering this story for us. Cindy Bay is at Raleigh-Durham International Airport and brings us up to date from there. Cindy.
Hey, Kara, I'm at the Raleigh-Durham International Airport, where there's been frustration among people who have come to RDU only to find out that their flight has been delayed or canceled. According to FlightAware, there have been more than 100 delays so far this afternoon, with more than half of them canceled. And you can see that displayed on the flight information as soon as you come in. That lists all the arrivals and departures that have been impacted. Delta Airlines being one of them, where you can see that there's already a long line wrapping around this side of the airport. Now, Delta Airlines is also one of the airlines that we've seen take up much of the cancellations and delays here at RDU. Again, frustration growing, with many passengers having to accommodate to make up the time. My colleague Christian Piecos picks up our coverage from Chicago.
Hi, Cindy. We are at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. We're inside Terminal 1. This is the United Terminal, one of the major airlines impacted by this global tech outage. As you can see, since we last checked in with you a few hours ago, this line here has only grown. So many passengers right now are trying to figure out what their plans are going to look like by the minute, by the half hour, by the hour. And you can see above the check-in counter right here are those brutal blue Microsoft Air screens, just highlighting how this major airline has been impacted by this global tech outage. Now, just to humanize this international story a little bit more, I spoke with one couple from Chicago just a few minutes ago. They tell me they were originally supposed to fly out on an American flight. That was canceled because of the outage. They rebooked on United. That flight has since been delayed. All of the rental cars here are booked. They're trying to figure out if they're going to be driving 8 hours to their destination now. I want to send it over to my colleague Melissa Adon to continue our coverage from Los Angeles.
Hi, Christian. Here at LAX, it is pretty chaotic. People have been waiting for hours. There have been so many delays and cancellations. Folks, though, however, getting some updates because the United Airlines, Delta, American, they've been the ones mainly feeling these delays and cancellations. Here at the United Terminal, they're finally being able to accept bags and take them back to board. So that's some progress. However, we still see those blue signs with those error systems along so many of the screens here across LAX. Of course, folks are being urged to reach out directly to the airline, which can be so frustrating. We heard one woman saying she was on hold, saying it would take 12 hours to reach a representative. Otherwise, folks are just having to line up and basically check in with the gate agents to get rebooked. So this is something that we're going to be watching all day, because these outages definitely impacting travel across the country. Kira, back to you.
All right, Melissa, Christian, Cindy, appreciate all of you. We'll continue to check in throughout the day. Our Justice Department reporter, Jack Date, also following the story and has the latest for us right now. Jack, what can you tell us?
Well, Justice Department systems are impacted by this. The Justice Department is a huge organization with the FBI, U.S. Marshals, ATF. They have people not just in the United States, in all 50 states, but all over the world. And so with their systems impacted, just like everybody else's, they're having to go through the process of doing reboots and getting these systems back online. It's time-consuming, it's tedious, and you know, for everybody, I think, be nice to your IT folks. It's absolutely critical that they can get their work done and get these systems back online. It's also impacting state and local law enforcement and justice systems, everything from 911 outages that you mentioned earlier to just local IT systems that courts and judicial systems are dependent on. Those things are impacted as well. So we're seeing some court closures and things like that, court dates having to be rescheduled, things of that nature. And so it's going to take some time to work through. And you know, with these Microsoft systems being used so widely, the impact is global, and it's being felt in every sector, including in law enforcement and justice.
You mentioned our IT specialist. Tony Turner has been our best friend today, Jack. You know him well. He got all our computers up and running and made it possible for us to interview you.
He sure did, and we're grateful for him. And you know, for everybody out there, just please show some grace to your IT professionals and give them a pat on the back and maybe buy them a beer after work, because they're going to have a tough day.
There you go. Jack, thanks so much. All right, let's bring in John Dwyer. He's the director of security research at the cybersecurity firm Binary Defense. John, we know CrowdStrike has found a solution to the issue, but that doesn't immediately make everything okay. I'm curious, your opinion. Why did it take so long to get this fixed? And, you know, are we really fixed? Because it seems like life hasn't totally returned to normal for a lot of people right now.
Yeah, so this is one of those days where I know it's going to be an interesting when I wake up and I have like 100 text messages from people not in security asking me what's going on. The long tail of this impact of this event, I think, is going to be felt over some time. Given the solutions that we found out there, CrowdStrike did find what the solution was. They were able to repair a patch, but given the state that the systems are in, it's going to require quite a bit of manual effort to get everything online. And this has a compounding effect that we're going to feel over the next few days, I'm afraid.
So why are so many of our institutions and businesses so reliant on a single piece of technology that can cause such widespread problems when it fails? I mean, aren't there any other alternatives?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, to watch how the market has coalesced around a few technologies. And in this case, we have two of the biggest names in technology and security. We have CrowdStrike impacting Microsoft, which covers so many of the businesses that we rely on in our digital personal lives, right? As we see at airports or if we see at hospitals. And I think that this is one of those times where we need to consider the risks of our decisions when we're making decisions in our investment. Of if we're all using the same thing, we're kind of introducing this single point of failure. And as we see, this starts to create a bit of a house of cards event where if one card falls, the whole house comes crumbling down. So I think there's going to be some assessment in terms of how much do we need to consider diversification in our technology stacks in order to avoid something like this in the future.
So is there any way the outage could have been prevented, you think?
Well, it's certainly going to be some questions about quality assurance, and I'm interested to see how CrowdStrike handles this, and I think it'll go a long way in determining what the impact of that company is. I think that everyone is kind of surprised a company that is so good at software development like CrowdStrike would let something like this slip through. So I'm hoping to see that they answer a lot of those questions to see why wasn't this caught in a test bed prior or any of their testing procedures beforehand. And I'm hoping we get a full picture from this so we can take this. They're certainly not the first software company to make a mistake, and they're not going to be the last, unfortunately. But this is a learning event for everyone about how we can properly test and do quality assurance before we roll things out, especially when we're talking about technology that's underpinning so many of our societies.
John Dwyer, Director of Security Research at Binary Defense. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate you adding to the conversation.